So, as we all know, in the first video essay on the subject of the Carrie adaptations, I said that the 2013 adaptation of Carrie, directed by Kimberly Pierce, was the best overall adaptation of the novel. However, because the first video essay already had an extremely long script that mainly covered the 1970s and the 2002 adaptation, I feel like not enough was said for my opinion, as a few things were left out to keep the video essay from becoming super long. Not only that, but a certain big YouTuber had such an annoying take on the film, I wanted to talk about that too. I'll keep their name a secret until that section pops up though. I also want to put out a warning that this video will contain huge spoilers for the Carrie movie, especially the 2013 adaptation. Now, to make this fair, I'll be speaking on both sides of my opinion. I won't just be speaking of the positives, I'll be speaking on the negatives too, the stuff I did not like in the film. The reason why I'm doing this is that I don't think it was fair how biased I was with the 2013 adaptation in the last video essay. It was partially due to running out of time, but I will speak on my full opinion instead of a simplified version of that same opinion. So, without further ado, let's get into it.
You take the battle and it's over, that I've lost my composure, cause I'm staring into space. And now my heart's beating fast like a maybe start a new chapter. I'll still reveal the beast. There's a beast in my soul and it wants to evolve. Can't be pushing it so I can end it. Now the words leave your tongue. Where did that power come from? Saying to do that place that you're condemned to.
So, diving into my criticisms, we start with Carrie White herself, the star of the show. To be honest, this was the second best depiction of Carrie, next to Sissy Spacek's performance for the character. Chloe Moretz herself did an amazing performance. Now, a common criticism I found with this version of Carrie was that a lot of people said they could not see Chloe Moretz as Carrie White, and I can understand this. Chloe is a very beautiful woman, but this criticism goes out the window because Sissy Spacek is also a beautiful woman. I'd argue to say she's even prettier than Chloe Moretz. To me, Chloe Moretz is a perfect mediation between Sissy Spacek's beauty and Angela Bettis's ghastly starved appearance. So that's why I believe Chloe Moretz is the best actress for Carrie appearance-wise. Now, the writing for the character was pretty good, with the exception of the prom massacre scene. My criticism of this was that Carrie should not have smiled during any of this. I love that she was more emotional, but having her take pleasure in the suffering of others rubbed me the wrong way, as Carrie herself is an extremely avoidant and pacifist character. If anything, I feel like they should have just gone for a pure rage act rather than having her smile at all. Something close to how Goku acted when Frieza killed Krillin. Other than that, Chloe did an excellent job acting as Carrie. My favorite scene of her was hard to choose since she gave a very emotional and guttural performance, but if I had to choose, it's between the shower scene and the prayer closet scene. Both those scenes let you truly see into the helplessness that is Carrie's character. Speaking of the massacre scene, the display of Carrie's telekinesis and abilities was actually mostly accurate to the novel. Maybe not fully, but that's okay. I also love how we get to see the limit to Carrie's telekinesis, as you can see her visibly straining to lift Billy's car. I especially love that we finally get to see her levitate in the film. Granted, it was only for a few seconds, but it at least lets us know how precise Carrie is with her telekinesis, like she was in the novel. I really wish we got a full Chamberlain massacre, as we did in the novel, but they at least did more than what the 1976 adaptation did, and I'm grateful for that. She destroyed a gas station and a power line, after all, along with a huge section of the road, and that's good enough for me. Now, my favorite part of this movie is that we finally get to see Carrie use her telepathy in the end. In the first two adaptations, her telepathy was not shown, whereas this one actually grants us an accurate portrayal of her telepathy. While it wasn't used in the massacre like in the novel, it was actually accurately depicted like in the novel, as Carrie discovered Sue's pregnancy the same way in the novel. While Chloe Moretz's Carrie was not as good as Sissy Spacek's, she was ultimately a perfect median between the psychological Angela Bettis Carrie and the beautiful Sissy Spacek Carrie. This depiction of Carrie is actually the most novel-accurate portrayal of the character when it comes to the ability aspects. While not the most novel-accurate portrayal in other aspects, it's still a relatively good adaptation of the character. If there is one thing that has always stuck with me about the Carrie film, it's the portrayal of Coach Rita L. Desjardins. By the way, I just learned how to pronounce her name properly, as in the last video essay, I unfortunately mispronounced it a few times. But back to the video. To me, Coach Desjardins should be the one who actually treats Carrie like a mother. I understand in the novel, Coach Desjardins was actually much crueler to Carrie, even hating her and laughing at her at the prom. But still, what I like about the 2002 adaptation is that she's depicted as extremely caring of Carrie to the point of risking her own job. Unfortunately, I think she did too much, as she felt too caring and attached to Carrie. Then you have the 1976 adaptation where she's closer to the novel, and I don't like this either. With the 2013 adaptation, you get a perfect in-between. She's super caring towards Carrie in a way that's most realistic. She doesn't do anything that risks her job while punishing the girls for what they did. She actively dislikes Margaret White. She comforted Carrie after she was asked out to the prom by Tommy, and she even tried to help Carrie during the blood bucket scene. Now, I understand that throughout this video and the last video, I've been preaching about the novel accuracy. But trust me when I bring up novel accuracy, it's my way of bringing up something I liked about the source material. However, just because it's novel accurate doesn't mean it's good. For example, I do not like Coach Desjardins in the novel. I think she's poorly written, and it isn't an accurate depiction of how teachers would interact with students. I understand there are bad teachers, but that's why you have Mr. Evers to fulfill that spot. I myself have experienced bad teachers, but categorizing all of the teachers in one category when writing the story is not only unfair, but just blatantly false, which is why I like the 2013 adaptation of All the Teachers. Coach Desjardins is a kind-hearted woman, Mr. Evers is a jerk, and Mr. Morton is a coward, which I have all commonly experienced throughout my school years. I like that they diversified the teachers' personalities rather than doing what the novel did and just making them all bad. Anyone familiar with the Carrie story knows that there are three antagonists: Billy Nolan, Chris Hargensen, and Margaret White. Billy is the boy delinquent, Chris is the popular girl, and Margaret is the abusive parent. All of these characters play an important role in the story of Carrie White, but unfortunately, unlike the amazing polishing of Carrie White, Sue Snell, and Coach Desjardins, these three antagonists have an imbalance on what happened to them. Billy becomes unforgettable as he loses the amount of screen time and focus. Chris remains the same, and Margaret White is finally adapted properly and severely improved from the past two films. Starting with Billy, he's actually the worst part of these three. For starters, Alex Russell somehow looks too old to be playing Billy, which is weird given that he looked the part to play Matt. a character of the same age, in Chronicle, and Chronicle only came out in 2012, just a year before. What this likely might be is the fact that they let Alex Russell grow out his facial hair a bit and gave him a buzz cut, which was a bad idea in my opinion. Not only that, but the fact that they made him forgettable by reducing the focus on him actually ruins the character for me. To me, they should have followed what the 2002 adaptation did, as the 2002 adaptation had the best depiction of Billy Nolan. Before I end Billy's part, I will say Alex Russell did an amazing job playing Billy though, and I would love to see him in another Esper movie, preferably as Kaneda in a live-action Akira. Next, with Chris Hargensen, nothing was really changed, and I actually like this. By having her role consistently stay the same, I can't exactly say anything negative. Now, this is actually a pro in my book, but somehow Chris looks ugly. Which is weird because Portia Doubleday herself is a beautiful woman. The reason why Chris being ugly is a pro in my book is because, in my experience, the mean popular girls are ugly themselves. So this is actually kind of accurate to my real life experiences. However, I will preface that Portia Doubleday is not an ugly woman. I just want to emphasize that in case she sees this video, because I am not at all trying to be mean, disrespectful, or a jerk. I have to preface this stuff because I don't want any drama, okay? Finally, we get to Margaret White, and might I say, this is the best depiction of Margaret ever. Not only does Julianne Moore look perfect, but she even acts perfect too. They also brought in the self-harm aspect from the novel and put it in this, which makes her character even darker than the last two films, which is much needed. They made Margaret White genuinely scary in this movie to the point that even I was scared of her like Carrie was. Aside from Chloe Moretz's stellar performance as Carrie, Julianne Moore did the best. This Margaret White is a genuine upgrade from the last two adaptations. I've seen many takes on this film, but no take could be more shallow and surface level than when James on Dead Meat said that the 2013 adaptation tried nothing new and played it safe.
I'm also annoyed that this iteration of Carrie doesn't try to do anything new. The 2013 Carrie mostly just takes everything from the De Palma film and redoes it all with new actors and smartphones.
This take is so stupid and irritating to me, it makes me seethe. The worst part is, I didn't even get mad when he said he couldn't see Chloe Moretz as Carrie. That's a fair take, but saying that this film tried nothing new got me like Mr. Incredible.
Now you have officially carried it too far, buddy.
I understand preferring the 1976 adaptation. I understand not liking this movie. I understand preferring Sissy Spacek over Chloe Moretz. But to blatantly slander this movie by saying it tried nothing new severely agitates me like a fire ant's bite. And I'm severely allergic to fire ants! Alright, now that I've got the rant off of my chest, let's go over everything the Carrie 2013 adaptation tried to do new. Number 1, they showed Carrie's birth. What did the 2002 and 1976 adaptations not do? They didn't show Carrie's birth and how Margaret almost committed infanticide, but changed her mind at the last second. This adaptation did. Number 2, Carrie's more precise telekinesis. Unlike the 1976 adaptation and the 2002 adaptation, Carrie isn't using her telekinesis all willy-nilly throughout the film. In fact, just like in the novel, she levitates and flies during the prom massacre, which does not happen in the other two adaptations. Number 3, Carrie's telepathy is shown. Unlike in the 1976 and 2002 adaptations, Carrie was actually shown to have telepathy in this film, which is shown when Sue Snell tries to save Carrie, but Carrie tells her to leave as she needs to keep her baby alive. Number 4, Sue Snell is pregnant. Not shown in the last two adaptations, Sue Snell is actually pregnant with a baby girl, just like in the novel. Number 5, Margaret White hurts herself. In the first two movies, they just showed Margaret abusing Carrie, In the 2013 adaptation, they show Margaret abusing herself, which was actually in the novel too. All I have to say now is, your move, dead meat. Because if there's no counter to this, then it's checkmate. Now, if you're asking why I didn't acknowledge the play it safe part of this take, it's because that statement itself is accurate, but the problem with it is he says it like it's a bad thing, which is why I don't like these big YouTubers critiquing films, because it's the same thing every freaking time! The filmmakers don't play it safe, and they complain. The filmmakers play it safe, and they complain. For heaven's sake, do you want one or the other? Shut up and enjoy the movie! Apologies for that rant. Let's get back to the video. So yeah, that's the expanded explanation on my opinion of this film and how it's the best adaptation of Carrie ever. That is, unless Amazon somehow beats it. As I've said before, I don't think they'll screw it up, but then again, they cast freaking Summer Howell as Carrie. I'm sorry, but that's hilarious. I know I said Sissy Spacek was too pretty to play Carrie, but this just takes the cake. At least Sissy's eyes know how to look haunting. But I do not see Summer looking like either Sissy Spacek's, Angela Bettis's, or Chloe Moretz's Carrie. I know it's a backhand compliment to say that she's too pretty to play Carrie, given Chloe Moretz played Carrie and Sissy Spacek, but still. Now, let me say, I'm willing to eat my words. If she cooks as Carrie, I'll sit down and take it. Now, what I will say is, I am actually excited to see this play out, because a lot of people don't give Amazon enough credit. On one hand, they could mess this up. On the other hand, they could do amazing, as they did with adapting Invincible and The Boys, as I've said before. I don't know. Only time will tell. However, I suppose I will tease another video essay, as I will be reviewing the one and only infamous The Rage Carrie 2. In the meantime, this is SJ Raikou signing off. Peace!